Hello everyone. Sorry this is a pre-recorded video this week rather than a live video. There is, however, quite an interesting and I think quite important webinar and Zoom discussion that's happening with New Zealand Choral Federation when we're supposed to be having our rehearsal this evening on engaging young people with music and how to maintain and get buy-in from students, say, moving from school and leaving school, and how we can encourage them to keep singing. It's something that if we weren't maybe locked down in quite the same way that we are currently, we'd be looking at with quite some sincerity for both the Christmas concert and 2022, how we can integrate what Camerata offers and provide some singing opportunities for younger singers. So I hope you'll excuse a pre-recorded video this evening so I can attend that and look forward to reporting back next week. So today's announcement, whilst it's a bit of a roadmap to where we can go from where we are, it's not terribly not terribly hopeful with providing an element of surety around timeframes. So as a result, what I'll do is send out a list with the link to this video, a list of the pop culture pieces that we're going to look to try and sing in the Christmas concert. And then in the coming weeks, or in this week, I'm going to start choosing the Christmas repertoire. Ideally, it would be better to have known how long we had to rehearse in person, but I don't think we're going to have a bunch of notice for when we can start rehearsing. So I'll make some choices and we can start learning online. So it's not ideal, but it is what it is, and we'll have to make do with that. So watch this space. Today I have a lovely Castle's Milk Stout with me to get me through. So I'll be enjoying that. So today what we're going to do is we're going to start with a bit of warming up, singing through the Vaccai exercises. We'll be looking at exercise 1, lesson 1. We'll be looking at lesson 3, and we'll also then be looking at lessons 5, and we'll start on lesson 7 as well. So if you have those 4 exercises to hand, then we're going to look at the psalm once more, the lockdown psalm, to get start really working on that and understanding how all the words fit together and the word stresses. And then we're going to have a reminder of Nobody Knows the Trouble I've Seen. So that's what we're looking at this week. So we're going to start off by doing a bit of a warm-up and looking at the Vaccai exercises, then the psalm, then Nobody Knows the Trouble I've Seen. So let's make a start. If we sit up, roll the shoulders back. I've been sat in this room working all day long, which is not ideal. And roll one shoulder and the other. Shoulders up, one forward, one back. Ooh, it's like a bit of a shimmy. And then the other way. Ooh. And then reach up and then stretch over one way. Oh, and the other, and then take a nice big breath in and out, and in and out, and do a sh, so and sh sh sh, tss, tss, tss. Good, good, good. So we're getting that whole thing warmed up. So let's start with the first exercise, which is the manca sollecita. So that's what we're aiming for here. So let's go. I'll give us a play in. sollecita più dell'usato, anco che s'agiti con lieve fiato, face che palpita presso al morì, face che palpita presso al morì. Good, so that was a good first start. I definitely don't feel like I did that vocal justice. A day of sitting staring at a screen, I needed to have gotten out more. So let's do that once more, and really this time feel the sense of line, especially on face che palpita presso al morì, and kind of expanding upwards, and all of this sense of line and space and phrasing to it. Sollecita più dell'usato, anco che s'agiti con lieve fiato, face che palpita presso al morì, face che palpita presso al morì. Great. So let's now turn to the lesson on thirds. So we've done this two ways. We've done it very legato, semplicetato, and we've done semplicetato. So let's do it a kind of a middle ground. Semplicetato torella che non vedi il suo periglio. So we get a sense of that dum da dum da dum da dum with the appropriate phrasing, but without being super staccato. So that's where we're aiming for. Semplicetato torella che non vedi il suo periglio, per fuggire da cruda tiglio vola in grembo al cacciato, per fuggire da cruda tiglio, per fuggire da cruda tiglio vola in grembo al cacciato, vola in grembo al cacciato. Great. So don't forget the double consonants. Semplicetato torella che non vede il suo periglio. So and remember we talked about vowels and how vowels can be up here, e, a, o. Try and have really distinct and pure vowels. Sempliceta torella. So we want really pure vowels. So Sempliceta torella che non vedi il suo periglio, per fuggire da cruda tiglio vola in grembo al cacciato, per fuggire da cruda tiglio, per fuggire da cruda tiglio vola in grembo al cacciato, vola in grembo al cacciato. Lovely. So that's the lesson in thirds. And the idea is we're learning to sing both ascending and descending thirds. Let's find now the lesson on fifths, which is Vaccai vivere. So, Vaccai vivere. The key here on the fifths is to get a very pure fifth and a very pure interval, especially when you're going up. Vaccai vivere. So there's a few things that we want to make sure here. Firstly, that we're giving all that support. Vaccai vi. That support, especially on the upward note, but all the way through. Vaccai vivere. And if you look, that's me pushing in. I had quite a lot of Sunday dinner, so yeah, not at a little bit of lockdown going on here. But watch what happens when I actually push in here. So the support, you can really actually it kind of pushes out that support. So if you're really pushing in, you can really feel that support going there. So we want, especially on the ascending note, we want that, and then the ascending tone. So vivere, we want that. The second thing is to imagine the space where this sound is going to be V, and we have the Vaccai vi. We're not going Vaccai vi, so we're not suddenly shifting. We want to have an idea so that there's a little bit of continuity of where the voice is when we're doing it. And you want to have the higher note as the point of reference with that. So again, we're not going Vaccai vi, Vaccai vivere. And then the last thing to do, so we've got the support, we've got the placement of the voice is equal all the way through, and then we've got that we keep it nice and kind of forward sound, because if we kind of move it backwards and swallow it, it can be in tune, but it won't sound in tune. So we want to keep it vivere, keep it there, kind of vivere, rather than going vivere, because it's very easy to collapse back on that, especially when we go to collapse back. So 3 things to consider as we look at this exercise. So the first one is support on the ascending fifth. The second one is the placement of the lower notes is in the similar kind of space as the higher notes. And the third one is that we don't then collapse the sound. Don't collapse the vowel. We keep it nice with lots of support and lots of space. So that's where we're aiming for. I'll give us a bar in. So 1 and Vaccai vivere senza conforto in mezzo al poto parato ma Vaccai vivere senza conforto in mezzo al poto pavento il mar. Cool. So I managed to not sing the right notes or right words at the end of the second line, but I have the excuse that I'm playing the piano as well. Let's look at the very last phrase. Pavento il mar. This is very awkward. That's a big tone. So it's a big interval. And again, that's that idea of having full support. Pavento vento il mar. And again, we want to try and have a, rather than going vento il mar, vento il mar. So try and have a good sense of that vento il mar, kind of going in one phrase rather than going vento il mar. Let's do that once more. This is what we're aiming for. Ave vivere senza conforto in mezzo al porto pavento il mar. Ave vivere senza conforto in mezzo al porto pavento il mar. Cool, now let's turn over the page to the lesson on sevenths. So, the lesson on sevenths, this is going to be interesting for me to sight read and sight sing. Let's have a go. L'ombra un lampo solo brasta nel cuore salgace che gradito val Sorry, I'm so sorry. Che riconosce il mar. Let's do this just a tar first. And fa l'ombre ta 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 ta. What I can suggest is that you go and have a look and listen back to that, and then we can work on that in the coming weeks. Great. So let's find, please, the psalm. Here we go. The psalm from the Book of Common Lockdown. So a reminder then about psalm or chanting like this. You most commonly chant psalms like this if you're singing in an Anglican style, but it doesn't have to exclusively be psalms. There have been weather forecasts, shipping forecasts. I've obviously adapted this one. You could point rather any text you like to be sung like this, and it's something that I might do as a bit of a funny thing to do in coming weeks is point some more text. But the main thing when you're chanting in this style is the text and the text stresses. So the note lengths that are written on the page, they don't really matter. That's indicative only. What really matters is the natural rhythm of the text. So we have, if you look at the text, there are lines, vertical lines at points within the text. Those lines refer to the bar lines. And then each new line refers to a double bar line. And then what that does is that tells you where in the notes you are and what words you put to and what words you sing to where you are. So it's kind of corresponding back up, giving you signposts for what notes to sing. If you look at the first 3 bars of music, there is 1 note in the first bar, 2 notes in the second bar, and 1 note in the third bar. So the first bar, there we have the words, I was glad when they. So you just chant that. I was glad when they. Now the second bar, there are 2 notes, but there are 3 syllables. So the dot that is between said and unto, that shows you when to change note. If there is only 1 syllable, I'm just going to see if there's an example of that. I don't believe there is an example of that. But if there's one syllable, you would just sing. If you went, I was glad when they said unto me, you would sing the 2 notes to 1 syllable. But here it's said unto me. I was glad when they said unto me. So the dot shows you when to change note. And then obviously after unto, there's the vertical line. So that means you change onto the third bar for me. Then the new line means you go to that's a double bar line. So then we shall is then the 4th bar. And so it continues. So it does take a little bit of getting used to. But for those who were singing in Camerata last year, you pick it up really quickly. And for those who weren't singing Camerata last year and who haven't done this before, give it a little bit of chance to stick. Follow those basic things. And the only other thing to add in is if there's a star, the star means take a breath. And then with that, you can't really go wrong. Can't really go wrong. So kids throughout the world in church choirs and cathedral choirs throughout the world sing with this. So it's, as long as you think it's all about the text, then you get the idea. So I'm going to start by playing through the chant, and the easiest way to do that is to tar. So we're just going to sing through the chant to tar. And cool, let's do that once more. Couple of things to think about. Sopranos. If we think about what we were doing in the lessons on fifths, it can be applied here. I was da 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 da. Don't have da 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 da. Don't force that up necessarily. Kind of have the upper note in mind. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. So have that in mind. And then let's just look at from the second half. Cool. So let's have everyone again. Ta-ta. And so let's now we know the notes. let's look at the text. I said the text is the most important thing, so let's look at the text. So let's say verse 1. And I was glad when they said unto me, we shall cross now to the Beehive Theaterette. Our feet shall stand with the Prime Minister and the Director General of Health. Now you hear the way that there's that general lilt to it, and the Director General of Health, not and the Director General of Health. We're not Daleks. And the Director General of Health. Our feet shall stand with the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister. Minister is important. So what we try and do is we try and have the most important syllable towards the end of the line on the last note. So, for example, the very first line is said unto me. I was glad when they said unto me. But if you look at the second line of verse 9, and plenty of flat whites within thy coffee shops. Because it's a coffee shop, it's not a coffee shop. So again, it's about that idea of, we talked about a couple of weeks back, about lightness. Not everything has to be completely sung through. Flat whites within thy coffee shops. That's just saying it normally. Flat whites within thy coffee shops. So back to where we got to, which is verse 3. So let's say verse 3 together. And kia ora koutou katoa. Welcome to the 1 p.m. briefing. Cabinet met this afternoon to discuss our alert level settings and have agreed that Auckland's move to level 3 can't come soon enough. Auckland is locked down as a city, but we're all in a team of 5 million. For thither please stay in your bubbles and wear your masks. Get vaccinated, breath, and get tested for the virus if you show any symptoms. For we are awaiting Cabinet's judgment, taken on the advice of the Director General of Health. O pray for the release of Auckland. They shall prosper and hug each other. Peace from children be within thy walls, and plenty of flat whites within thy coffee shops. For my bubble buddies' sakes, I will hang out the washing and do the dishes. Yea, because of the plea of Chris Hipkins, I will go out and spread my legs. So verses 10 and 11 are interesting. For my bubble buddies' sakes. You could argue that you would have for my bubble, but then it would be very awkward to have the pointing as for my bubble buddies' sakes. I think for my bubble buddies' sakes. To me, it works ever so slightly better, but there would be an argument for my bubble buddies' sakes. But it's for my bubble buddies' sakes. I'll hang out the washing and do the dishes. So here again, it's that I will hang out the washing and do the dishes. And even if I will hang out, do the hand action. I will hang out the washing and do the dishes. Is that washing and do the dishes? Because that's important. I will hang out the washing and do the dishes. So it's really important we have that idea. Text is always important, even when we're doing a madrigal or anything else. The text is always important and informs how we do it. It's amplified and highlighted so much more, though, when you're chanting something like this. So now we have said everything through and looked in depth at the text. Let's have a sing through. So those are our notes. was glad when they said unto me, we shall cross now to the Beehive Theatre. Our feet shall stand with the Prime Minister and the Director General of Health. Kia ora koutou, welcome to the 1 p.m. briefing. Cabinet met this afternoon to discuss our alert level settings and have agreed that Auckland's move to level 3 can't come soon enough. Auckland is locked down as a city, but we're all in a team of 5 million. For thither, please stay in your bubbles and wear your masks. Get vaccinated and get tested for the virus if you show any symptoms. For we are awaiting Cabinet's judgment, taken on the advice of the Director General of Health. Oh, pray for the release of Auckland. They shall prosper and hug each other. Peace from children be within thy walls, and plenty of flat whites within thy coffee shops. For my bubble body's sakes, I will hang out the washing and do the dishes. Yea, because of the plea of Chris Hipkins, I will go out and spread my legs. So that gives an idea of how it all flows together. Verse 7 is the second half of the chant. It is written in there, and that's what that little cross symbol means. It means it go to the second half of the chant. If you want to hear how I would sing it, fortunately there is the link on the St Matthew and the City Facebook page. The chant is down a tone, but I'm sure you'll be able to cope with that. But that gives an idea of the phrasing and how we want it all to fit together. Lovely. So that is the warm-up and the psalm. So let's look at Nobody Knows the Trouble I've Seen. So we looked at this in, I believe it is our first lockdown rehearsals. That's quite a while ago now, quite a while back. And really this is to touch base to make sure that you haven't forgotten to go away and learn the awkward rhythms. That's key here. There's not so much that I can do until especially sopranos and altos can reliably do the interjection rhythms. It's not solely limited though to sopranos and altos. Tenors and basses do have some fun stuff to join in with. But until those are secure, then it's going to be tricky to put stuff together. So a few things that I can recommend doing is not while we're singing it at tempo, but is to go away and maybe not mark on your score, because that can get confusing in concert, but to look through and to actually put in all of the quavers and where they are. So let's go to bar 17 as a really good example. Bar 17. So we got 1, 2, oh yeah, my Lord. Because it 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, go 2, 3, 1. Oh yeah, my Lord. Oh, nobody knows. 1. Oh yes, my Lord. So going away and looking at that in isolation at the rhythm. Same if you look at the previous bar 16. Ooh, 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 ooh. Because if you think about the quavers, ooh, 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 ooh. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Oh, yes, my Lord. So going away and very slowly singing through, and it can't hurt to also, once you've worked out the rhythm, put the notes back into that and go. Once you've done that, then either sing along with the recording of me playing, or I cannot recommend highly enough the New Zealand Youth Choir recording conducted by Karen Grills that is on the YouTube playlist that I set up. I will have to amend the YouTube playlist to reflect the new repertoire, but that's okay. So let's have a start, and let's start off with everyone singing the tune, because that really gets us into the feel of it. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Nobody knows like my Jesus. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Glory, hallelujah. Sometimes I'm up, sometimes I'm down. Oh, yes, my Lord. Sometimes I'm almost to the ground. Oh dear. Oh, and then it kind of falls apart. I'm so sorry. Doesn't really work when you get to the harmony. So that idea of trouble I've seen. Cool. Let's go in from the beginning, and everyone sing their own part. So, go back to the beginning. Then everyone sing their own part. We'll have a bit of a sing through. So. hold it. Keep holding it. And off we go there. Cool. So couple of moments for me in that. And I'm sure there are a couple of moments for you guys as well. So I think what's going to be useful is if we go all the way back to the beginning and have another sing through again, but with the obviously the thinking about what can we do at home, going through and learning those rhythms to be as secure as possible, and then of course singing along with the youth choir recording, and then by the time we're all back together, it's just going to be there and under our skin, so we're not going to have to think too much about that process, because that's really key, is that once we get back into it, we don't want to have to be thinking, what's going on? We want to just be like, no, I didn't know, and it's all kind of sorted. So let's go back to the beginning and let's have another sing through just to make sure we're all under control. Fantastic stuff. Well, look, I hope everyone has got a little bit of solace that there is a way out of. It does appear to be a way out of this. It's a bit of a shame that we don't have so much of an idea of when. It is a matter of if, not when. But it is a matter. That's my subconscious there. It's a matter of when, not if. But obviously, without knowing when, it is still a bit tricky. So, with this email, you've got the table that I put up on the Zoom meeting last week. for what we're looking at carrying over from pop culture. And then this week I will start choosing some Christmas music from either that is well known and easy to pick up, Christmas music that we have sung in the past few years as a choir, so that the majority of people should have an idea of it. And then we'll work out how best to get that to you, and then we can start learning it. So it's really not an ideal situation that we find ourselves in, but certainly if I know one thing, this choir is pretty good at cracking on with the online stuff and making the best of it. And it'll be a challenge, but I'm sure we'll be having a great Christmas concert as a result. So thank you for joining us, and I appreciate you putting up with the pre-recorded one. So I will let all of you know what the results are of the study into encouraging youth singing in choirs. Thank you all, and have a fantastic evening.